Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Check Service Industry Podcast. I am Reyshan Parker, and if you haven't had a chance yet, please go watch my television series Beyond the Check Worker Owner Edition, now streaming on Amazon Prime and Fox's Tubi TV. That's Fox's Tubi TV. It's free TV. You got 2 seasons, season 1 and 2, and there's a whole bunch of awesome chefs that are going to let me eat their food. So check it out. Anyway, I have a fantastic guest today. He is the owner and chief executive officer of Activation Products Incorporated. He built a solid reputation for valuable research in the natural health space, developing effective protocols and products that support natural healing so we don't have to go to the doctor or have surgeries. His journey started back in 2004, and we're going to find out all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Clark. Hi, Ian.
Hey, Reyshan. Good to be here.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, likewise. We'll have a rather interesting conversation today, I'm sure.
I can only hope, sir. I can only hope. Looks like you got yourself some sun there.
I did. I got quite a bit of sun. I was just, actually, it's kind of my color these days because I've got some interesting nutrients in my body that make quite a difference. And so it's just sort of, I don't know, it's been kind of cloudy down here the last little while.
Cloudy?
Southern California. I've been here
in
for
Southern
about a month
California?
Yeah, I know. It's just, never. But except for the last month and a half. Now it's like rain, cold, no sun.
Wow. That's climate change.
Yeah, right. Climate change. Oh man, we better go to this climate change summit right away and get very concerned.
It is cloudy in Southern California. We have major issues. Hey, next thing you know, it might even thunderstorm. Watch out.
Yeah. We had thunder and lightning with a snowstorm back where I live, which is in Ontario, about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. What's with that?
So what are you doing down in Southern California from Ontario?
I was here for several events. Just recently, the Expo West, which is a natural products expo, is majorly huge. It's probably one of the biggest in the world every year. Happens in March. And so I was just cruising around there, just reconnecting with a lot of people who I know who were at the event. And cool. 95% of it is like, whatever. 5%'s interesting.
So just like a bunch of supplement companies or?
An endless stream of everything imaginable now. Like everybody jumps on every trend and makes the most fancy packaging, the most fancy boosts, the most, so-called innovative things, but all of it is more or less useless. Other than it's fun.
Other than it's fun.
Or it makes tons of money.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that food is the best medicine, and we don't need anything else if we eat correctly. So, tell me your story. What started your journey towards health, and what happened in 2004 to change everything?
Well, I guess we can start today, and we'll zoom back to 2004. So today, I turned 65 in June this year.
Congratulations.
Unfortunately, right. They'd say that's retirement age. What a joke. I'm just getting started.
Good for you, sir. Good for you.
Yeah, and I have a biological age of between a 25 and a 35-year-old, depending on the system that's being measured.
Really?
And that took a lot of work because when I was 46 years old in 2004, I had the biological age of about an 85-year-old. And it didn't look like I was 85. I looked bad, but I didn't look
85.
Like an 85-year-old, but inside,
your physiology was 85.
Yeah, the main problem is that, I had a massive fungal infection, heavy metal poisoning, candida overload. And I didn't know what it was at the time. I'm letting you know what it actually was. They like to call these things cancer because I had a big tumor in between my legs.
Oh, no.
And it was growing, and it took 7 years to get rid of. But it was something that I would not allow them to do a biopsy on or labs, nothing. I wanted nothing to do with the doctors on this one because they continuously scared me and told me I had to do this, and this. And it was not good. It was very dangerous. I didn't take it lightly.
No, that's a scary situation to be in.
It was, yeah, because I didn't know what to do. That was the other problem. I knew they didn't know, that they just wanted to cut and open up and drugs and all that crap. And my uncles, I had 2 uncles on my mom's side who died at 51 and 54 years old in September of 1978, 2 days apart. And it was just like,
from
they
what?
followed everything they followed everything the doctor said, both of them. They were dead on time. And it just didn't make any sense. Like, why would I take the advice of someone who guaranteed my death?
Right.
Right. And the other scare tactic is, well, if you don't do what we tell you to do, not only will you be, dead in 3 years, you'll be dead in 1 year. If you do what we say, you might make 3 years or maybe 5.
Damn.
But my situation was gross because the tumor was one thing. I had heart disease, and then I had this liver problem, which was my enzyme numbers were off the charts, and they were all literally freaked out to the point that I shouldn't be standing there. I should be in emergency immediately. That kind of thing.
What was your lifestyle like at the time?
It was actually kind of normal. I wasn't into drinking alcohol or drugs. I quit all that, smoking cigarettes and everything, when I was 21. But my lifestyle was mainstream. I was not health conscious. I was a know-it-all. You try to tell me something, I'd have some answer for you that was stupid without knowing it was stupid. You would say to me maybe you should think about organic food. I go, what's organic? Everything grows out of the ground, buddy. I didn't even want to know. That was part of the heavy metal poisoning and the fungus in my brain. And I can blame that. It was still me, but I had mercury. It was just like off the charts, everything. It was so messed up.
Just from eating regular grocery food?
Well, no, I had worked in the oil field for 17 years from the age of 18 to 35, and I got hyper poisoned by lead and didn't know it. Lead is everywhere out there. Every connection of every pipe, and you do tens of thousands of them, and there's lead everywhere, and it gets everywhere.
It gets on your hands, soaks into your skin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Soaks in everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, so it was brutal. And they don't tell you, right? Because, it'd be a massive liability if they... But they tell you, that's lead pipe dope, but you don't correlate it. And so I was dumbed down severely. And so I just sort of was accepting things, where there's a price to pay. Anyway, so my body was going to be taken away from me before I was 49 years old, or before 50 at the latest, the trajectory that I was on.
Right.
And I realized that. So I was like, oh, wow, okay. So the doctors aren't going to be able to help me. But this one, I am certain that there are people somewhere out in the world who know what to do naturally, but I have no clue who they are,
how to find them.
No clue. And but there was a hope. I had this hope because they did exist. I knew they existed, but I needed to be led to them. So my request was simple. If I can be led to these people, I will do whatever I'm told. I will suffer at whatever level is required to suffer. I will have as much fun as required. I will spend, time, energy, whatever it takes, I will do, because I don't want to be out of here. At that time, so in 2004, we'd been married for 21 years, and we have 7 children, and a bunch of them were young.
Man.
So I met my wife when she was 19. We got married when she was 21. I was 24. And we just kept having children until we got girls. So
I'm glad your wife finally got the girls.
Oh, yeah. And after we had 7 children, which was pretty shocking, to have that number of children. Now that I look back, we should have just kept on. Once you go big or go home. Just keep going. But we stopped.
I mean, a baker's dozen's solid, so.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, after they grew up and we started our little business in 2007 is when it started, they were so helpful. So between 2004 and 2007, I've slowly met a few people, and I slowly started to learn. But it was soon enough that I was able to begin detoxing the things that were killing me. And my attitude was, if I have 36 months to live, that doesn't mean I'm dead in 36 months. That just means I've got 36 months to extend that to like 60 months or something, right? To get by some time. And if I can get 60 months, then maybe I could buy 15 years or however it was going to work. It didn't make sense to me that I was going to be dead. I just couldn't fathom that. And I just thought, why? Like, this can't be my destiny, right? I have a mission in life. We're all given a mission. I didn't quite know what my mission really was. I just knew that I had one and it wasn't finished. And so it took me a while to discover what the mission was. And it came to me, and it just sort of, now I've been on it since 2007, really.
So how did you come to realize your mission?
By being given information and access to things that made a world or a universal difference in physical wellness, mental wellness.
I grew up with hippie parents eating couscous and bulgur wheat and not allowed to have candy, and I'd go to my grandparents and we get Fruit Loops, right? Like that's but I kind of grew up that way. How did you discover like alternative medicines when it came time to? Like, did you get on the internet? What did you do?
No, I did get on Google, but Dr. Google is kind of distorted. So I ended up, interestingly enough, going to California and hanging out with a bunch of hippies. For real.
Yeah, that's what, Northern California or Southern California? Well,
kind of between the two. It started out in Southern California, ended up in Northern California, and then became a combination of both. Going up into all kinds of different areas. I was up on the coast and, north of, like I drove through the redwoods, like you talked about them a little bit ago. But I drove through there to go to an event with John Gray from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Oh, yeah.
He had a little event. He had this little beautiful place out on the coast. And it was amazing. Just between all those things, just slowly learned, but I learned enough soon enough and implemented. Anything I learned, I would implement immediately. And it didn't matter if it seemed radical or not. I was willing to do whatever it took and had to go through these little steps.
So what were the first steps?
First steps were what on earth are you putting into your body, buddy? And what do you have in your body? And how do you get rid of that? How do you detox from all this crap?
Yeah, how do you get rid of all the lead and the rest of it?
That was an interesting protocol. The lead has taken years to deal with, but the first sign that I had really major lead poisoning is I was getting these sores opening up in the front of my shins. This is what was going on in 2004. And I was like, it felt like I whacked my leg on a table or something, but I didn't. And I'd have a series of them, and they would come and go. And they were sore, and they would leak stuff, and they were itchy, and it was weird. So I went to a medical doctor, and he looked at it. This is back when I was still going to the doctor. I'm like, what's this? He goes, I have no idea what that is. You got to go to a dermatologist. So wait 6 weeks to go to a dermatologist. And there was a woman around my age. She was maybe early 40s at that time. So I would have been 47, I think, when I got to see her. And she looked at, she said, what is it? And I pulled up my pant leg and showed her. She goes, well, you know what that is. Do you want a prescription? And I go, I know what is.
What is it?
Yeah, yeah, right. So
you're the doctor, you tell me.
Yeah, right. I wait 6 weeks to see a specialist. The medical doctor doesn't know what it is, but I'm supposed to know. And so she confused me, and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, well, you're obviously a homosexual. Do you want a prescription?
She thought you had AIDS lesions.
I don't know, was that is?
Yeah, she thought you had lesions from HIV, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I knew nothing about that. And I told her, I said, well, I'm not a homosexual. She kind of throws her head back and rolls her eyes. She goes, listen, if you can't be straight with me, how am I going to help you? Just tell me. I go, I just did. She goes, okay, this is not working. Right?
Like, I'm not paying you for this visit. This is, no.
It was a really stupid conversation. So I said to her, hold it. First of all, okay, I'm not. And I don't even mess around. There's nothing sexual about this at all. I have no idea. This started just a few years ago, and it was been bothering me more, and it got to the point where I went to the doctor, and now I'm here to see you. If I was homosexual, I would tell you, but I'm not. So I just want to know. And she just had this stupid little smirk in her face that she wouldn't get rid of. And she goes, listen, all I can do is write your prescription. She literally, that's all she did.
She didn't even do any tests? Didn't test anything?
He did nothing.
Good
They only have like 10 or
Lord.
15 minutes. This is in Ontario, Canada, where they have no time because it's all free, so-called free. Nothing's free. But, healthcare, right?
Right.
So anyway, she wrote me the prescription. I said, thank you. Crunched it up on my way out the door, and that's the last time I saw a doctor. Because I had different doctors, and I'm not against doctors at all. I just think a lot of times they're guessing and they're trying to figure things out, and it's not easy for them. Mm-hmm. And they've been trained in a certain way that they are kind of going by the book, and the book doesn't. The book says this, and that must be what it is. It turned out, so 2.5 years from that point, I was down in Ohio, and I was talking to a guy named Joel Berry, a really cool guy, and he's an herbalist.
My mother is an herbalist in Ohio.
Oh, yeah?
Ma Parker, Cindy Parker, Floppy Wellness Center. Look it up.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, really cool. So, and this guy is a wealth of knowledge. So this is my early learning time, and he's just like drinking from a fire hose with the amount of information he's giving me. So after about 2 hours, I said, hey, I got a question for you. And I pulled up my pant leg and I showed him. I goes, have you ever seen this before? He goes, oh yeah, that's lead poisoning.
Boom.
Just like that.
Boom.
And I said, really? Yeah. I said, how do you know that? He goes, because I had that. I said, how do you know? Like, what happened? He goes, well, I worked at General Motors. He worked for 20 years on the big diesel division. And his job was forming the bearings made of lead at the bottom of the engine for the main crank. And over the years on that line, he said, standing up, you're exposed to a lot of shavings, a lot of dust that is lead. And he said he didn't know it, but it goes into your body and then it goes down gravitationally, and your body will pull lead, especially, into the bones to keep it safe from the body. And then it will go to the bone that's closest to the skin, because then it can get out of the body easier. He said that shin bone is right on the skin. He said, you test that and you'll find that that's lead.
Jeez.
And I said, yeah. So that was interesting. And so then I said, well, what do I do? He goes, well, you got to take sorghum molasses. You got to do soy lecithin. Like, this stuff is like glue. It's so gross. Like, shovel this garbage in, right? Sticks to your mouth. It does everything. And then he put me on a series of different herbs. He had me on like comfrey and different. He followed Dr. Christopher. I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Christopher.
No.
He was a famous herbalist doctor in the States for, the early 1900s. Anyway, this guy was trained under that. And so he had this thing that he did. And 6 months later, all that went away.
Really?
Yeah.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Yeah, that was cool. I never went and hunted down that dermatologist. I should have,
You definitely should have. You definitely should have. Like, because she needs to know, like, that's like, you're a doctor. If you don't know what lead poisoning looks like, and you're just going to jump to stereotypical conclusions, you're probably, not still learning. You should probably be open to continued learning. So you should definitely call her sometime.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd ever find her. That's a long time ago. But you never know. Like, the thing is that I don't think she probably ever saw anybody with lead poisoning at that level, because I worked in Alberta, and most guys from Ontario have never worked in the oil field. And so I worked out there I lived there for 26 years and worked 17 years. So anyway, it was just weird. But I'm really, really happy to find out what it was, because that was definitely affecting me.
So just some herbal concoctions. You started detoxing it all out your body. And how long did it take? It's 7 years to get rid of the tumor. What was the quote unquote tumor?
Well, the tumor, as far as I gather, was simply a fungal infection that had attracted a lot of other things to it. And I think it was a detox pathway that formed inside my body, because my body got overwhelmed completely, apparently.
You just started stacking it.
Yeah. It was just like heavy metals, fungus, mold, which is mold. I had massive candida overgrowth, like where it blew out of my system, where the whole bottom between my legs was all like a white crystal. It felt like fish scales. It was so bad, right? And I had, all obviously chemical sensitivity stuff. I was just loaded with crap anyway. But I went through these detoxes. I tried, wheatgrass juice. I did EDTA, chelation, DMSA. I did so many different things.
Did you fast?
I fasted. Yeah, I did all that. I did master cleanse. I did black salve. The black salve didn't work. Man, I thought like I was putting it up against this swelling that was between my legs, hoping that it would penetrate. No. That was the most painful thing I've ever been through in my life. Was that, well, almost the most painful, not quite, but it was painful.
I'm not even 100% sure what that is, and I'm not 100% sure I want to ask.
You don't need to know. It's like the people use black salve on different cancer things, and it eats through your skin, and then when you put it on the open sore, it just goes on fire. Oh. So it's a horrible thing. That's why most people don't know what it is and they don't use it. But it didn't work.
But it
does work for people. It does work, but in that case, it didn't work. So,
touche.
Anyway, eventually what happened is it became dormant. So between 2004 and 2009, it shrunk down and it just stayed. It wasn't beating with my heart anymore. And it would just sit there. So I thought maybe it's just going to be there the rest of my life. I don't know. But in the spring of 2010, I found out about a thing called silver dihydrogen citrate.
What is that?
It's a surface cleaner, but it's clean. There's no toxins in it. And it has silver ions attached to citric acid molecules. Citric acid molecules are like candy to microbes and things that shouldn't be in your body. And the person who was I was in this group of people learning about this stuff. And he said, you use it to clean up your whole environment, and you can spray it in your mouth if you want to detox your body of different things that may be infections. He said, just 7 sprays in the mouth and do that for a few weeks.
Really?
So I thought, well, yeah. So I thought, that's interesting. There's nowhere on the bottle that says you're allowed to do that. And so when I got home that night, I sprayed it before I went to bed. I sprayed 7 sprays. I woke up in the morning having a shower, and I noticed a little bit of swelling down there. Because it wasn't, it was shrunken down, right? It was about maybe like this long. And it went from the anus to the scrotum. And it had the big lump in by the prostate.
Prostate, yeah.
Anyway, too much information, right? But it was swollen a little bit. And then the next morning it was a little more. And then I realized, this stuff seems to be affecting this thing. In 2 weeks, it was like this large, like that big. And I had to put loose jeans, like not tight jeans.
Sweatpants only.
Yeah. And kind of waddling around. And if I picked something up, it would hurt. But I wasn't afraid of it because it was squishy.
And it had been hard the whole time?
Well, the inside was still hard. But I didn't squish hard enough to find that out. But the way I found it out is on day 15 when I woke up, because I was keeping track of it as best as I could. And I think it was around day 15. I woke up and it was back to normal shrunken size. Like it was like the whole puffiness just went away
overnight.
Yeah. And then it just stayed the same way as it was before, this hard thing. And I kept doing the sprays, but it never changed after that. So I stopped after another couple of weeks. And I even tried drinking some of this stuff to see if it would do anything, but it did nothing. And so I just left it alone. And then by the middle of, around halfway through 2011, it hit my body, apparently just dissolved it because it got smaller and smaller until it was just not even, there's no trace of it now. It just went away.
It just went away. Bro, I mean, yeah. a lot of just like positive thinking the whole time too. Like,
I don't know.
You're a very determined man, obviously. So I imagine you didn't allow too many like negative thoughts to creep into your psyche on the regular.
Right. I learned about that because somebody early on told me that whatever you tell your body, it'll listen.
It'll do.
Just like whatever you tell your subconscious, it believes it, right? Mm-hmm. And to talk kindly about your body and that your body's getting well, and it's not getting well, is going to be, it is well, and just taking it but being realistic, not being careless. And yeah, so I did learn about that. And I didn't go so much positive, negative thinking thing. It was more realistic thinking. It's like, I think that I'm going to be fine. I'm on my way to a very good place. And my body's definitely capable of healing itself and is in that process right now. I just need to learn how to support that system. I can't heal my own body, but I can support my body's ability to heal it. Just like I can't manage.
you're the boss. We're the boss, right? What we say goes. And if we say we're getting sick, we're gonna get sick. You know, like I've done that so many times. Where it's like and then next thing you know, I'm sick. Or you know, just tell your cells to do what you want on a regular basis, and then just stop. Don't even worry about it. Just tell them what to do, move on, and let them do their job because they're your employees.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're the CEO, and you're the one that pays the price if you make a mistake. You're the one that gets the reward if you do the right thing.
For sure.
And,
the
whole man. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about the company. So, I mean, you went through all this. You obviously it worked for you, and so in 2007, you started the small business. And I imagine it's grown in the opposite direction of that quote unquote tumor.
Yeah.
And now you help others. So let's talk about why'd you start the business?
Well, the business kind of organically started on its own, which was really interesting. I found out about a thing called marine phytoplankton around towards the end of 2006. And it was this new trending thing, but really nobody in the world knew about it at that time. Just a very tiny pocket of people. And still today, most people don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Right. It's a microalgae that they grow in Spain. And it's a 40-year study to determine what the various strains of phytoplankton in the ocean do for people or for aquaculture or biofuels or industry. And there's thousands and thousands of strains. And at the end, they found there were two strains that had a perfect nutritional profile for the human body and for animals. And those two strains are grown in a photobioreactor. And all of that development was done right around 2006, 2007. So I was one of the first ones to find out about this particular form of it through a guy out in Vancouver, Canada. And I bought a kilogram of it. It was just a powder. And I thought, it was quite expensive. And so I got a hold of the stuff, and I would take a teaspoon a day. And I noticed that after a little while, I had an energy in my body that I couldn't explain. Then meaning that it wasn't a stimulant, and wasn't like coffee or something that gave you a buzz. It gave you an internal. What's that?
You felt alive.
Yeah, it was just it was like charging up my battery. That's the way I would explain it to people. And I could really sense that. And then I found out how to stabilize it in a concentrated sea mineral from an idea that a guy had developed in Australia. And when I told the guys in Spain that I wanted the live paste that was not freeze-dried to be put into this concentrated sea mineral solution, they just laughed at that and said it's not possible. But after testing, they found that it was true, which was pretty shocking. And that became a product called Oceans Alive that was my little baby because I took two ideas and put them together and it worked.
Bravo.
And it was good. It was actually kind of given to us to be a steward of this thing. And so we started putting some bottles together, and I took it to a farmer's market in Ontario to see what the reaction was because people there, a bunch of health people would come there. And they just turned their nose up at it and said, that's like pond scum and it's not going to do anything. How much is that a bottle? And they just weren't interested. So I went down to Expo West in March of 2007 and then again in Sedona, Arizona in the end of 2007 in September. Those two visits with this phytoplankton got people to become very interested because they would take it and they would come back 15 minutes later and say, okay, what is that? Why is it supposed to work that fast?
Really?
And it does. Yeah, it's just basically charging your system up with real nutrients and with proper elements. And it's a hydration thing. It's a whole bunch of things that's going on with it.
Just makes your body happy.
Yeah, very happy. Like, it gives you joyful mental energy. It gives you emotional feeling of goodness. And it definitely gives your body energy. And people would say, oh, well, where do we get this? I say, well, I have some. I can get it. And so we started getting orders for thousands of bottles. Like not right away, but that's over the next 24 months. We produced equivalent to $2.8 million worth of retail product out of our basement.
Bravo, sir. And helping people.
Yeah.
Mission realized.
Yeah, that's right. And that put on a track that we then had some funds to do research. because we lived a very, tight lifestyle. We weren't out spending money, and we weren't about to start spending money just because there was money there. So I knew the money was there for research purposes and to be very careful with it. So we just kept putting it back in to learn more. And then I thought, if this is one, what else is out there? And then slowly we ended up finding out about a transdermal magnesium product. And then we found out about seed oils, but not just any seed oils, real high-end therapeutic seed oils that you only take 1 teaspoon of.
Such as?
Black cumin. So Nigella sativa is a strain of seed that people make black seed oil from. And it's actually black cumin seed oil. And that is therapeutic. It helps with your dental. You put it in your mouth, you chew it for 1 minute. It's kind of like an oil pulling.
Yeah.
But then you gargle it for 15 seconds. It's very strong, so it works very quickly. Helps the teeth, become beautiful ivories and gets all the junk out that wrecks the gums and causes plaque. That all goes away. And then you gargle it for 15 seconds, wash it down with a little bit of water, and then it goes in through your body, and it's a whole body tonic. It supports all kinds of organ function. It cleanses and nourishes your body simultaneously. And it's very well known now. It's been known for thousands of years over in the Arab countries. But here, it wasn't really much known until maybe like 15 or 20 years ago. Yeah, and it's one of those oils also. You can put it like 2 drops in your hand. Like if you make your hands just a little bit moist and put 2 drops on, and you can rub it into your neck or someplace where it's sore, and it takes the pain away. So it's not a painkiller, but it somehow goes in through the skin, and it works very, very well.
Like almost at a cellular level, maybe somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets in, and it also helps with skin condition, like makes your skin really good, makes your hair thicker. It does a lot of different things.
Oh, I could use that. You can't tell, but the back's going. I mean, and cumin's been known just for its health benefits, generally, like as food for a long time. Mm-hmm. But just
the regular cumin, the cumin that like in these different Indian spices is very popular. But the black cumin is kind of pungent. It has some people use it for spice in food, but it's more this therapeutic thing. And even if you just ate the seed, it helps. But when you press the oil out, you get the full benefit because your body can't really extract the oil off the fibers efficiently. So that's why we press it.
Nice. And you guys sell all of these products?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have everything listed on our activationproducts.com website. It's not very many products. We only have like 14 products because over the years, I noticed that most of the things are time, energy, money, and not necessarily the top level. So we just wanted the functional, foundational things that it's like the must-haves.
Right.
That that your body's going to thrive with. And they're pretty much like they're food-based.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not,
I mean, it's like going to a restaurant. You don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory and have every billion. I'd rather go to a small chef-owned farm-to-table restaurant that has like 6 things on the menu.
Exactly.
That are fresh. I know are actually good for me. Well, depending.
So I started learning about all the different toxic things that are out there. Learned about diuretics and how deadly they are.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, a diuretic is removing fluid out of your system. So your body's.
Are we throwing coffee in the mix with that?
Anything diuretic. I'm not against anything or for anything. If it's a diuretic, it's just off the menu.
Just off the menu.
Yeah, and so what I found out was anything that was on the menu that was pleasure-based, that was a diuretic, that I found other things that were more pleasurable that didn't have a tax associated with it.
Hey, can you give me an example?
Putting the Oceans Alive in a glass of water with trace, and then you can put different other flavors in. And what that does is it hydrates you because I stopped drinking water completely.
I mean, because it's hard to find good water.
Well, no, you can find the best water out there. I have machinery that will make so-called the best water out there. It's the purest, it's the most structured, it's vortexed, it's energized, it's alive, it's all redone. And the more you drink of, in fact, the purer the water is, the more you drink of it, the sooner you are dehydrating your body and causing yourself to die right alongside everybody else.
Really?
So
I love talking about water because there's always so many different opinions. And for the most part, the general consensus is that, water does strip, but really it's your nutrients aren't supposed to come from water. Your nutrients are supposed to come from food, right? But you're saying adding the supplements, the herbs, the ocean's alive in particular. Yeah, we have a thing called trace, which is the 100 times strength ocean water concentrate, this liquid. And when you put it into water, it makes the water turn into electrolytic fluid. Because when you drink water, just like when water is raining on the earth, this is the problem. I just stepped back and I'm going to get rid of all my opinions. My opinions suck. My opinion is based upon, my little intellectual imagination going, right? Let's stand back and look at it mathematically. So there's a law in the universe that's called the transfer of osmotic energy. Osmotic transfer has to happen, whether we like it or not. So if I have a glass of water that's just pure H2O, and then I have a glass of electrolytic fluid with salt in it, and all the different types of salts that there are, and I pour equal amounts into another container that has twice the amount of volume, it's going to have half the amount of salinity in a millisecond. It instantly transfers. And that's what we all need to understand, because when the water evaporates from the ocean and from the Great Lakes, the freshwater bodies, it goes up in the air as distilled water. It's extremely hungry. And when it rains on the soil over the thousands and thousands of years, that's where all our minerals are gone. We have a little tiny bit of minerals left. But the soil used to be massive quantities of exactly the right minerals. But they got washed down into the water table over the thousands of years, and it goes in the little streams out to the rivers and tributaries and goes to the ocean. It's a massive problem. Then our food does not have the minerals in it that we need. No.
It's out in the ocean. So we just simply went to the ocean and went, okay, so how do you reverse this? I'm not going to drink pure water that's structured especially, because when I do that, it's going to be even more efficient. And my body has no choice but to donate its precious minerals that it's trying to get out of the food into the water. And then I pee it out. Right, so
that makes sense.
Oh yeah. So when I add the trace and the ocean's alive, then when you drink this, it donates to me because it's a greater amount of the 92 elements that my body needs than what my body has. And so I drink it, it donates to me. It doesn't rob me.
Bravo.
And when I started doing that, then I went, oh, that's what was going on. Back in 2007, that's what was happening. That's why my body felt charged up, because I was giving myself in the liquid form
nutrients,
these minerals that are, because you have an ocean inside of you. You don't have water in your body. Everybody says, oh, you're 80% water. No, you're not. You're 80% electrolytic fluid. You have no water. What a joke. Give me some water. Produce water with your body. You can't. You've got tears, urine, sweat, blood, lymph, interstitial, intercellular, right?
Yeah, that's why it's all salty, right? Yeah. Everything that comes out of us is super salty.
Yeah. And even you go into the scriptural references, you are the salt of the earth. If the salt loses its savor, it's to be discarded. It's like, really? Okay. And are you satiated? When you're satiated, you're satisfied. You're not hungry. And satiated is salt. Are you worth your salt?
All those classic sayings. So true, right?
The salary, the word salary, people are paid salary for when they work.
It's a saline.
The word salary comes from saline. Salvation.
You're blowing my mind.
So if you want to super upgrade yourself, you do that. You add these concentrated minerals to your water. Now, what I noticed, massive changes, it upgraded me. The biggest thing I noticed all along my research timeline was that when I stood back and looked at society and I went, okay, you got mainstream People, they don't care. They eat everything branded. They watch TV. They do everything they're told. They follow the government. They listen and they know what they do, right? And then you have the more health conscious people, from semi-conscious to very health conscious. And all of those people together kind of going down the road, they die in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and some of them make it to 100. Both categories, the same thing. Now, the more health conscious people have a much higher quality of life because they're not poisoning themselves.
But they just generally feel better.
Every one of them they generally feel better, but they die at around the same time. How many people do we know who are super health conscious that made it to 100? Very few. When they did, they didn't look very good at 100.
Right.
And people, and we're all told, every man will get prostate cancer before they, if they live long enough, they'll get prostate cancer. Well, that's not true at all.
No.
If you know what you're doing.
I mean, George Burns.
Right. But then he died.
Yeah, but I had like 100 and something, but
yeah, 101.
101, yeah. But he was smoking a cigar, and I drinking, whiskey every night, every day for years.
That's right.
And I'm pretty sure he was just eating cheeseburgers too, because that man did what he wanted.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he had a very strong attitude. But what I'm talking about here is not far-fetched at all. I'm talking about living hundreds of years, and not for the sake of living hundreds of years. Who has any interest in that? That's not what it is. It's the quality of life. So what I found out was there are certain elements that I was given these keys, and the keys were to be able to get my age reversed back to between a 25 and a 35-year-old, with all systems eventually landing around 25 years old internally. That's biological systems. And then you have your structure, because you got all your connective tissue and your joints and your bones and your ligaments and your muscles. Those are all a major part of your health, because if you don't have that and you can't move around and you got perfect running organs, what's the point? So having a complete body that goes back to around a 25 to 35-year-old, then you maintain that. Once you get it there, you actually can maintain that. Then your body just continues to live. It's just logical sense. It stays alive because there's no reason for it to die.
Right.
The reason the body dies is because it dehydrates. If people live long enough to get Alzheimer's and dementia,
because they're dehydrating.
They're dehydrating their brain. When you cut a cadaver open, take a look at the brain of an Alzheimer's patient, it's shriveled and full of metals. Well, of course it's going to be full of metals because it couldn't detox. And yes, it's shriveled because they dehydrated themselves. They ran themselves out of electrolytic fluid. And then they got worse and worse. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you go down fast. And that's why that happens. My prostate, before I really understood and started amping up this stuff and putting way more and changing all my fluid to electrolytic fluid at a higher concentration, I started getting an enlarged prostate. Within a month and a half of doing it correctly, my prostate was small enough I didn't have any more urination problems. Because, in your 60s, when you have to urinate, you better go, right? Don't
hold it.
Don't hold it, because then it gets stuck.
Ooh.
Then it takes a while for your prostate to release and go, and then it can burn. And so within a month and a half only, all of a sudden I got stuck on a call once that was a real long live call, longer than I expected. And I was bursting at the seams because I had drunk quite a bit of the fluid before. And I thought, I'm going to have a problem. And there was no more problem. And I can hold as much urine as I want, as long as I want. It is uncomfortable, but I tested it. It's full. It's full flow. Right? And then right? Yeah. And within 3 months, my libido came back. I'd lost probably 30% of my libido energy just from noticing physical change. And within 3 months of doing this, I got it all back. It just came back.
It was like you're a kid inside.
Yeah, we all are. Right?
At your prime, sir. At your prime.
Yeah. That's what I say. We're just getting going.
Dude,
now that we know.
That's an amazing story.
Structurally, I had major damage in both my knees. My left knee particularly got smashed by it was crushed under an 800-pound firewall that did damage. It damaged my knee so much that even after it healed, I couldn't snow ski or water ski from 21 years old on, because I couldn't have any kind of torquing on the knee or twisting. and it would blow up, and I had it checked every which way to try to figure out what that was over the years, and it just kept getting more painful as time went on. I got a bit of arthritis in it, and when I was 60 years old, I found out how to totally repair my knee myself with no cost. I did 8 different 5-minute treatments to my knee, and within a week, my knee was healed. And this is not some woo-woo thing like Reiki or something, nothing like that. This is physical treatment that I learned how to do. And so I did that. I was like, and I saw my knee totally heal. I was shocked. And I can do the same treatment now and nothing happens to my knee. When I did the treatment the first time, it kind of made my knees swell up and look very bruised. But it wasn't, I didn't smash my knee or anything. It's just it's a stimulation thing. And it doesn't cost money. There's no equipment.
What did you use?
Well, you use your hands, but it's just a technique. And it's something that I'm building a course around, because now that I understand how well it works. So then I did my other knee, which wasn't as injured, but it still got completely healed. And then my shoulder, this shoulder was broken in 4 places when I was 16 from an accident. And I had to have it pinned. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. It was one of those, and I'm left-handed. So I could never throw a baseball properly again. It was really a drag. But anyway, that has been completely fixed, because it was ongoing, like different problems. And this one, I had torn rotator cuff, 3 different torn rotator cuff injuries. Once when I was 24, another time in 2011, another time in 2021, just recently. And the 2021 was like so bad that I did the treatment here, it blew up. All the pain went away within 5 minutes, and then not all of it, but like 90% of it. And then I just slept it off for 6 hours. And then within a week, it was totally healed. I can do anything. Like I can literally push this shoulder really, really, really hard and strong and fast, and no problem. So
nice. I have 2 hip replacements.
Oh wow!
Because I had dysplasia, and so it just ground out all the cartilage from the time I was about 18 until I was like 40 when I when I got the first one replaced. But I did all kinds of things to try to fix it before that happened, and there was no amount of physical therapy or anything that was going to allow me to walk. I was even in Mexico and had people working on it, and so I eventually just had to have them chopped out and replaced. But they're great now. Yeah. I couldn't put my socks on, cut my own toenails. My wife had to cut my toenails for years. She's so happy she doesn't have to do that anymore.
Sure. But how long do these hip replacements last? Are they like they last a long time if you take care of it, or?
Yeah, 25 years-ish or more, depending on how much impact you do. And then if they don't have to replace the whole hip replacement anymore, it's just like this little rubber, what is the pretend cartilage has to get replaced.
Okay, that's really good.
They're getting better at it. I was walking the same night, but yeah, it was awful. And so I feel like I lost 20 years. I got 20 years younger since it's all happened, because I just lived in pain. I was just in pain for 20 years of just right, and it was terrible. But maybe if I'd taken your techniques, maybe I wouldn't have had to do that. Who knows? I don't know.
It's possible, but yeah, you had the dysplasia thing going on. That it may be, you never know. But now you can maintain it, and it's so there's these keys. So what happens is I have a little thing that I help people with. If they want to really take advantage of something, and this is not people who I know. People who I know, I help them immediately, because it doesn't take me much time because they know me. But people who I don't know, and they say, okay, what are these keys you have? I say, okay, well, if you want the keys, I can give you the keys. It's going to take some coaching. And I don't make money at this. It's going to cost you money, because if people don't pay money, they don't take it seriously. So depending on the severity of their problem, it goes anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000. But they don't pay me the money. They place the money in trust. And I tell them, why would you pay for something if you don't get results? I can tell you, I know you're going to get results, but you don't know that. I know that. Now, the only way you can know that is by getting the keys. I'm going to give you the keys, and you're going to put them in the locks, and you're going to open them, and you're going to implement and execute, and I'm going to coach you on it. And I need to be covered for my time. But in 12 months from now, if you have not got the results that I am telling you that I know you're going to get, if you have not got those results, then that money goes from your trust account with your lawyer back into your bank account. If you get the results that I work with you on, then that money gets released, and I place that money into in the ability to help more people, because that allows me to free up some of my time to even help more people. So it proliferates. So
it's a fantastic system, sir.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed. Like, it's like going down to the car dealership and buying a car. That car works. If the car didn't work, I'm like, what? It's a beautiful, shiny car. It doesn't run. It's like, and so I like that.
It's your personal lemon law.
That's right. People should not pay for things they don't get a result from, and it's that simple. And unfortunately, in the natural so-called healing realm, a lot of people pay for things that don't give them anything, and that's why we became the manufacturer, because I wanted to be sure of the source of all the raw materials and every process that goes all the way through. Plus, we sell directly to people. We don't sell it through distributors and health food stores and shield ourselves from the people consuming this stuff. We let them completely directly contact us at all times. And that way we keep the cost as low as possible to them so that they can have the best experience. And if they don't get satisfaction, they can return with a full money back guarantee.
And the only person they're going to have to deal with is you guys.
That's right. Yeah. It's not like, I don't buy a plane ticket through Kayak or Skyscanner. I find the good deals from those, and then I go directly to the airline or the hotel. I don't like the third party stuff, because that creates complication.
Dude, this has been fantastic. I've learned so much, and I'm totally going to go check out activationproducts.com and fix my water, because I've been going in this water circle for so long, just trying to almost buying the $5,000 machine to do all of the things, and the rocks and the fucking alive bullshit, and like so many things, just trying to figure out my own personal relationship with water. And so I thank you. I think this has been eye-opening and enlightening, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm happy you're able to pick up on that and do these things, because it's really, you'll see. It's a massive, and the only way is by doing. That's what I found out about me. The only way I could know that I know was doing it, and then it would teach me. The Ocean's Life taught me what it was originally. It was like, it was trying to teach me. I was sort of getting it, but it took me 15 years to really go, oh, that's what that is. Okay, got it. Oh, let's do more of that then.
Lesson learned. We're all perpetually learning. Okay, where can we follow you at, sir? Where can we find out more?
Well, I've got some different places online where I share quite a bit of information. I just started a TikTok about 4.5 weeks ago.
All right.
And I had, I played around a little bit. I got 65 followers. It's like, and then I thought, I'm just going to talk to the camera. Just tell the camera the truth, and let's see what happens. So I talked to the camera, and then we broke it up into little segments. So it was like little sound bites, like a minute and a half.
Yep.
And I think I checked yesterday. I got 22,000 followers as of yesterday.
Bravo.
And I don't even have a strategy.
No, what a difference cut downs make, right? Like, it's those.
That's right.
Right. Throw them all on YouTube Shorts too. If you keep everything under a minute, you can knock them all onto Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook's Reels, because all of that will, monetize you, and you don't have to pay for your social media. Social media pays you.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And just getting the people the knowledge, because people just want the truth. Just tell me what it is. And so there's certain things that are very interesting to people. And I've got like almost 400,000 views in a couple of the videos in 4 weeks. And it was,
we want to know. And that's the beauty of, like, social media is a double-edged sword, but one thing that it definitely has done is given us the ability to gain information that normally we would never have seeked out or even been told about in any way, shape, or form. So,
right. So the one thing we have on activationproducts.com, we've got a place where people can subscribe to our newsletter for free. And then we have good information that comes out there, and then you can also find out whatever the various things do, why they do them, and what's the value of it all. And then on social media, it's either Ian Clark Activated or Ian Activated, one of the two. And the reason Activation Products showed up is because people always, when they find out stuff, they feel good and it activates them to feel better. And that's where the name came from. But yeah, that's where they'll find us. The email subscription is the best on our main website.
And all the links are in the description here, so you can go down there and just click on them and go check out Ian. Last question, what are you having for dinner?
So dinner tonight is going to be really simple. But first of all, breakfast. I haven't even had breakfast yet. Didn't have time. And
I haven't eaten yet today. No.
I'll tell you what I'm going to have for breakfast. This is something that was a pretty big discovery, but it's super simple. And I don't do any titles. I don't do like vegan or vegetarian or keto or paleo or carnivore. I have no interest in that stuff. I just found out what the foods were that made my body feel the best and gave me the most energy and took the least amount of energy to consume it and get the benefit. So in the morning I wake up and I do 4 egg yolks, no egg whites. And they're raw. They're raw, but I mix them very gently in a blender with whipping cream. Organic whipping cream.
Really?
And so we have our own farm at the farm, and so they're always fertilized and organic and all that good stuff. But you blend them together, and then I'll put in some like collagen. I put a thing in called Perfect Health. It's just this powder, food powder, and it gives it a texture and a flavor that is so good. It's like this luxury smoothie, and it goes down. And I also put the electrolytic, like the sea mineral fluid in it with it, which gives it a really good flavor. And then, just down it. That'll hold me for, usually if I have it by 7 in the morning, I'm good till 1 to 2 in the afternoon without any hunger at all. And,
nice.
And it's got, but it has to be raw, because if you cook an egg yolk, you've ruined it, basically. It's still food, but the value of it's gone. Egg whites have abadan in them. If you cook an egg white, the abadan diminishes. Abadan binds biotin. And biotin is one of the most valuable B vitamins you can consume. So you don't want to be doing that. So I just drop the egg yolks or egg whites.
It pulls the vitamin B out of your body when you eat the egg whites?
Yeah, it binds biotin. And if you look up biotin, look up abadan, you'll see. And then people say, oh, but if you cook it. Okay, fine, but when you cook it, it's almost useless. So what we found, the usefulness of the egg whites is really powerful. You take an egg white and you compost it, and it turns into a super fertilizer. So that's really what it's for.
Huh.
And
I'm sure the worms love it.
Oh, they do. They absolutely love it.
And then the chickens love the worms, and then you get more eggs.
Yeah, all the biodynamic stuff. My wife runs the farm. She's run it since 2010.
Nice.
And she did. Yeah, we have lambs and all kinds of stuff out there.
Well,
Laying
sir,
hens.
I wish you 100 more years. Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody please go to activationproducts.com and check out what Ian has to offer. Super informative. Thank you again so very much for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it, and I've learned a lot. And enjoy your breakfast, sir.
I will. Thank you for having me on. It was a real pleasure.
Awesome. Well, and tell Southern California I said hello. And ladies and gentlemen, go watch my TV show. Cheers.